A new week, a new trade, a new dollar. Hopefully that is what we say by the end of this week, because there is one big catalyst that a lot of people are not really expecting to happen that very well could happen, that I think has over a 50% probability of happening, that could cause the MOAS. And we'll talk about that here in this video. I think it's pretty straightforward. We'll dive into it. I also want to take a look at the technicals heading into this upcoming week and all of the data that you need to know to get every single ape caught up to speed with what is going on with AMC. And on top of that, we're going to talk about some of the catalysts for this upcoming week. So we're going to dive into it. You guys know the deal. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. So first things first, with AMC stock, we're coming off of a lot of catalyst and information from the previous week. Previous 2 weeks, really. We have the Amazon potential buyout rumors that has given AMC a little bit of that bullishness, right? But specifically what happened last week is the judge denied the settlement case. And there's a lot of people that are arguing if the judge denied this or delayed this. We really didn't get a lot of clarification. Some people say deny, some people say delayed. And I think there's a very big implication there. And I think based off of kind of what the judge said, it looks like it was denied. And let's just look at some of these articles real quick, because a lot of people are pretty confused there. AMC stock surges despite court's decision to deny ape share settlement. AMC stock rises, ape shares fall after court denies conversion settlement. AMC stock surges and ape shares fall as judge denies conversion settlement. AMC stock dives, ape preferred shares soar on stock conversion settlement. And that was 5 days ago. And then 3 days ago, the judge denied this. Now, delay, denied, pretty big implications there, because it looks like the judge did outright deny this. If the judge outright denied this, it means a couple things are going to happen, right? It means, at the very minimum, you're probably going to get another court date. Most likely, you're going to get a new vote with only the AMC common stockholders, or on the most dramatic of all of these, the judge denies this whole reverse split, because after all, we're talking about massive dilution here. I get it. If the company's about to go bankrupt, then that's a different story. But AMC has $750 million sitting in a bank account, sitting in short duration assets that are very liquid. There's a big argument to have here that nobody wants to have, at least the hedge funds and institutions, that maybe a judge does not let this go through in its entirety. Maybe this reverse split, this capital raise, never happens. Now, I've said it before, I'm agnostic to everything in this trade right now. I don't care what happens, to be honest with you guys. If a judge comes out and denies this whole reverse split, says that vote was null and void, it don't count, because after all, AMC cooked the vote. I think any judge with any brain cells in their brain would realize that, right? That's pretty straightforward. It's pretty well known. AMC investors themselves did not vote for this. This trade is the reason this vote went through with 87%. So let's be honest right there. Now, if a judge does deny this from happening, nobody expects that to happen. Nobody really even expects another court date out of this. People are expecting, coming April 27th, AMC is going to get a stamp of approval and be off their way to raise as much capital as they would like. I would say not so fast. I would say at the very minimum, you get another court date on, and let's put some percentages on this. I think there's a 65% chance you at least get another court date. At the very minimum, I think there's a 25% chance that the judge says, yeah, this is not going to go through. You guys are not going to be able to do this kind of dilution, because it's a lot. And there's a lot of ramifications of that. There's a lot of shareholder value in the short term that would be destroyed off of that. So we got 65 plus 25. So you're at 90% right there. Well, there's probably a 10% chance that this gets a seal of approval, ready to go. AMC can dilute us as much as they want. 10% chance. Whereas the markets, as far as the option activity, says a completely different story. They're almost banking entirely off of April 27th coming around and getting that seal of approval. If you guys have not seen this, you want to take a look at this, because I think it's the most unlikely scenario to get just April 27th comes around, a seal of approval, and AMC can be off their way. So what does that mean? That means here in the short term, you could see some very aggressive moves higher. We're talking hundreds of percents higher from here if it does not pan out how everyone expects it to. Now, I say everyone because look at the option activity. For April 28th, the puts sitting at about 90% open interest. Calls at 9.77% open interest. Nobody, literally almost nobody, is expecting this to go any further than April 27th, when in all reality, that's a higher probability of happening. Because after all, if the judge was satisfied or thought AMC investors were ultimately satisfied with this settlement, he would have let the settlement go through. He would have lifted the status quo. Obviously, there's a bigger concern that is there. It's not like, let me reiterate, AMC is on the doorsteps of bankruptcy. That's not the case. They're doing this to just raise a bunch of capital. There's a difference here, and I think that difference will be important in the court's mind. So I think a simpler way to look at this is there's so many people that are betting that AMC is going to go down. If things do not go exactly how it's planned, you're going to get a rally to that upside. And that's kind of like earnings. I'm sure everyone's familiar with earnings and expectations and all of that. Well, if you don't know this, well, you're going to learn something. Most of the time, it doesn't matter what the numbers are that are reported on earnings, right? Let's say a company. Let's call it Apple, because, I mean, Apple is the biggest company in the world. Say Apple is expecting $100 billion of sales for a quarter. If Apple comes in at $95 billion in sales, hey, you might get a slight downside reaction, but it's not all too bad. But if Apple's guidance comes out and says, yeah, things are going to get worse from here, that's where, 2 to 3% drop theoretically can turn into a 10, 15, 20% drop. We've seen that with Facebook. They gave us bad numbers. They gave us bad guidance in 2022. The stock fell 30% on earnings twice. Same thing with Netflix. It came down to the guidance and the expectations ultimately. Nobody was expecting that to happen to Facebook or Netflix in 2022, and it happened. Stock falls dramatically. Well, when everyone is expecting this dilution to come and the judge to give it that stamp of approval, and it does not come, then you get an opposite reaction. Then you get a rally, like on earnings. If you expect, let's say Apple to say, hey, we're going to give you, $400 billion of revenue for 2023. If you were only expecting $350 billion in revenue, that's very bullish. That's going to send the stock up higher. It's all about expectations here. What I'm trying to say, expectations are so negative, it does not take a lot to get a bullish reaction on any bad news, right? For this whole dilution situation, for this court process. I think if just one more court date is announced, you probably get a 30% rally off of that. If the judge denies this entirely, you probably get a 400% rally over the course of multiple days. If not, could be higher than that, right? And if the judge gives it a stamp of approval, you probably drop 20% again. That's the way that I'm looking at all of this. So there's not a huge bearish case in my personal opinion. I give it a 10% probability. This is a stamp of approval, and it's done coming April 27th. Maybe that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong there. But usually if you don't have to dilute shareholders by 80, 90% and it goes to court, judges typically don't like that because it brings up a lot of potential future litigation problems, right? You could try to sue the courts because what the hell are you doing, right? Approving something like this. So it's not as straightforward as a lot of people would think it would be. Now, let's take a look at some of the short interest data. So if you take a look right here, the dollar amount currently sold short in AMC is $635.5 million. Estimated short interest of free float at 25.12%. Free float out on loan at 39%. That means there's a lot of shares that are outstanding, that are out on loan, that have not been sold short yet or have not been covered on yet. You got about 201 million shares that are currently out on loan. Days to cover at 5.25. Cost to borrow at 247.15%, the trailing 3-month average, with 100% share utilization. If you take a look deeper into AMC's short interest data, cost to borrow average at about 900%. Cost to borrow max at about 1,050%, and cost to borrow minimum hovering anywhere from 8% to 400%. Interactive brokers, I've said this before and I'll say it again, they tend to cater to hedge funds and institutional kind of players, so they tend to have the better cost to borrow rates, and theirs is about 390%. So when you look at these cost to borrow numbers and you think about this logically in regards to everyone betting that AMC is going to fall, everyone betting, like, I just want this to be clear in everyone's mind. Nobody is expecting this to go any further than April 27th. Nobody. So if you're paying these kind of cost to borrow rates, if the whole trade is in question, right? That's very bad if you're short on AMC. That would be a very bad thing, because not only are you going to get screwed on the cost of borrow rates, AMC stock could potentially rally hundreds of percents if this were to get denied in court, which is a very real possibility. Now, funny enough, would this have gotten denied in court? Well, no, if it never went to court. But now it's going to court, and it might get denied. I think about a 25% chance. Not something that I would, bet the farm on there, but I think it's a very real possibility. I think you have a better chance of this getting outright denied than to get a stamp of approval on April 27th, to put that into perspectives here. Whereas the opposite is true. The markets are expecting a 10% chance this, it doesn't get a stamp of approval. Does not go through in its entirety April 27th. No more court dates. It's like a 10% chance as far as the options are implying to us. So when you look at these things, it makes a lot of sense to be long here on AMC, especially with some of those options. But keep in mind, not a financial advisor, so come to your own conclusions. If we take a look, though, at the technicals with AMC on Thursday, that was the last trading day of last week. You were not closed on Friday. Happy Good Friday, or belated Good Friday, and happy Easter to all of you. I hope you guys had a great Easter. Let me know down below in the comment section what you guys did. I personally went and got Japanese food, so I mean, let me know what you guys did. But nonetheless, AMC stock is in this whole bottoming process, right? And it has been going back and forth in this range, higher or lower, ever since around January 11th, 2023, or sitting at the lower end range, really the mid range at about $5 per share. AMC stock is at $4.82.5 per share. Since the drop in after hours did drop us by about 7.5 cents. Now, you're going to find some resistance around that 50-day moving average at $5.36 per share. You're going to find a lot of support likely at $4.50 per share until you get new information, you get new news. Could be on this Amazon buyout. Could be a new court filing. It could be another 8K from AMC. Maybe they try to sweeten the deal to get the settlement to go through. Obviously, the judge denied the settlement, so it was not good enough. They are not clear if AMC common stockholders actually want to take that deal, because really, why would you? Just think about it logically. What, you're gonna get one more additional share for 7.5 shares that you own, or for every 7.5 shares you own, whereas you're gonna be facing 70, 80, 90, 95% dilution? I mean, does that logically make sense? Now, keep in mind, like I said, I don't think I really clarified on this earlier because I was ranting and I'm pretty emotional about this, because I think people are looking at this in the wrong way. But when you really break this down, right? I don't care what happens, whether this goes through, gets that stamp of approval on April 27th. Yeah, in the short term, that's a little bit bearish. But AMC is not at the highs. You did not just go through a 100% rally. I mean, you're up like 20% from the bottom. You were just at the bottom a couple days ago. So what? That's where we go back to? Not a big deal. Ultimately, if that does happen and dilution does come and AMC does raise capital, they're going to have billions and billions of dollars to pay off all of their debt, to branch out into different business models, to do a lot with. And I think that crushes the short thesis as well. Because ultimately, if AMC did raise billions and billions of dollars, the market cap of AMC alone is $2 billion. That's not going to change, right? They're just going to get a lot more money in the bank. So the book value of AMC would go exponentially higher. Let's say on the high end, where like a lot of your analysts, like B. Riley Securities analyst Eric Wold, thinks AMC could raise up to $16 billion. Well, if they pay off, their $5 billion of debt and have $11 billion in the bank, that's 5 times the current market capitalization of AMC. That in and of itself will cause AMC to go higher. That will cause shorts to cover on their short positions. And ultimately, when this is all said and done, the free float is 25% short, right? And it's only short because people have been shorting it because of this trade. You would still get that flood to cover on those short positions. Either way it goes. So I really don't care what happens. I think either way you get a rally out of this situation. So that is really my opinion. Now, you did get some technical indicators, a Williams percent R, a momentum indicator, as well as a moving average convergence divergence. That is a MACD indicator. Let's go ahead and pull up the MACD for you guys, because I didn't realize it wasn't up here, and that's actually one of my favorite indicators of all time. Shows you a lot as far as volume, sentiment, and price action. And you can see it just went back into positive territory on Thursday, but not even close to overextended, right? Not even close to it. Last times we were a little bit overextended was back here in August of 2022. It's almost been a year. You're due for one of those big rallies yet again. And I think either way, it's coming very soon. And then you did get this, where the price crosses the moving average. I do believe this is the 10-day moving average. And that is also a very bullish sign. You crossed it and closed above it, as you can see right here, guys. So that's basically what I got for you guys. On another note as well, last thing to really talk about, the volume was over 100 million on Thursday as well. So there's a lot of people looking to trade AMC on these bullish days. And I think that's a big factor people really don't appreciate as well. AMC is well known in the stock market, in the investing community. And don't think for a second hedge funds, institutions, market makers, people with a lot of money are not going to buy and trade AMC to an upside move when there's a good catalyst for that. And I think it could be right around the corner with another court date, with the judge dismissing this, or potentially getting a sweeter deal out of the settlement, or a new vote. There's a lot of possibilities here, and I think there's a 90% chance we rally after April 27th. The only way that we don't rally, literally the only way we don't rally, let's be clear, only way we don't rally is if the judge says, yeah, the settlement is fair, stamped, approved, sign here, go on your way, AMC, do the reverse split, raise capital. I think that's a 10% chance. Let me know your percentages on what you think is ultimately going to happen, because I've been a part of these lawsuits and followed different lawsuits with different companies for a long time, and this is very atypical. You really don't get a settlement to try to make a conversion happen, to get 70, 80, 90, 95% dilution. You shouldn't have to settle out if 87% of people voted for this to begin with. It's because the vote was cooked, ladies and gentlemen, and I think a judge is not going to let it go through also quickly. So that is it for this video. Comment your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.